Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another Trauma Talk Tuesday segment with myself, your Freedom Coach, Natasha Miller, and our guest speaker this evening, Shavia Johnson, Restoration Court Coach, Shavia Johnson. And we are here to talk about healing while parenting, a touchy topic, but yet a fun topic also. So we're here to talk about that, and yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right. So healing while parenting. What is that? How do we engage that process? And why is it necessary? And I believe we're at a time where this generation is has the willingness and the pursuit to heal from those things that generations before us did
Mhm.
not take the time to do. And it may have been different reasons. They may not have known the depth of the wounds and why it was necessary to even engage the healing process. Various different reasons as to why they didn't undergo this. And now we're making the decision to go through this process, but yet we're already parents. And so, how to engage our own personal inner healing and deliverance from trauma while parenting our children simultaneously. So, that is what we're here to talk about. So, Ms. Shavia, share with us the pivotal moment where you, whatever it was, whether it was a aha moment or a traumatic experience that just awakened you to the healing process and how you started that journey as already being a mother.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me, Natasha. So my inner healing journey started in 2017. I was at a place where I just felt stuck. I was recognizing just different cycles and different levels of toxic behavior and just things. I was really in a lot of pain and angry. And I already had four children, two of which were in high school or going to high school at that time. And so I started with one of your programs. I don't even know how I came up how we connected, how I came across you, just some on Facebook, and I ended up doing a one-to-one with you and got in. Back then it was Fear to Freedom Boot Camp. It has now expanded to Freedom from Trauma Boot Camp. But that was the first process that I went through with dealing with my issues, and I still didn't understand what it was. I just understood that, okay, let's deal with fear. But out of that just came, it was a hunger for me to continue in the process. I had never experienced and had what was going had language for what I was feeling and what I was experiencing. Even though I was saved, even though I was in church, even all of those things, I just needed something that would just push me further into the process. And so after that, I went through, shameless plug, the other program, Recover It All. And that's when the light bulb hit me. It was in that program where we go through the different stages of development and address the traumas that happen in those different stages. And there was a sense of urgency and a sense of just like an unction, like everything I was pulling, that I was getting, that I was understanding, I was giving to my children. I was trying to give to my kids, and I was understanding like they need to heal too. And what really got me is what really got me is the just wanting to get them, because they're entering the teenage years. We cope we cope I know they had trauma. I was in a dysfunctional relationship, and they experienced a lot of trauma at the hands of of me. And so I wanted to be able to give them the tools and the things that they need to heal, so that this wouldn't repeat itself, because I was seeing the same things I was going through as a teenager. And I just wanted to give them language, to give them the tools, even though they really couldn't receive and didn't understand what was going on. So that's how I got, that's where healing while parenting came in, and it's really important because you're healing yourself, but you also are going to see things coming up in your kids that need to be addressed. And so you have to figure out that balance, and even at the capacity that they can understand um how that's going to connect, because now my thinking is changing, my lens have changed, now I'm implementing change, and they like, wait, hold up, this is not our norm. So not knowingly there's pushback, not knowingly everything is coming up. Now you can see clearly the generational traumas, the toxic cycles, the things that they're headed. And it just gives you a sense of awareness of what is going on within you and your kids. I hope that answered. I
Oh,
feel
oh yes.
things are coming, so I'm just trying to be clear. But yeah.
Yes, that was awesome. You gave us a whole lot. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I love it. So your journey started in 2017 at the point where you were already a mother of four.
Hmm.
Still a mother of four now.
Yeah.
But a grandmommy
And a
too.
grandmommy,
Oh
yes.
fun. Yay. But so so well established in motherhood when you decided to take this journey for yourself. Another thing is I like how you described the starting point, like what even caused you to step out on the journey. Like you had the pain, you had
Mhm.
the anger, you was just noticing toxic behaviors, and you was just ready to break these cycles
Yeah.
in your life. And I remember our one-to-one as well. And I don't know how we connected either. It was God. So
It definitely was.
yeah, and I remember just hearing the fight in you. Like, nope, I'm fighting past all of these things. I'm fighting past the labels. I'm fighting past the medication I've been
Mhm.
prescribed. All of those things. And one of
Yeah.
the biggest outcomes from your experience with the boot camp is that when you showed me, and it was like as a matter of fact type of thing. Yeah, ever since I've been in the boot camp, I haven't had a breakdown. And I used to have a
Mhm.
breakdown at least once a year. And I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Mhm.
Rewind, back that up.
Yeah.
You just said
Yeah.
you share something major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that I was having to take time off of work, like coming to the point where it was just like too much.
Mm,
And with the boot camp, I was able to eat because I'm still in the process. I'm still learning. I'm still breaking stuff off. So going from there, I was able to recognize when it's coming.
mm,
Okay, so I see these behaviors is coming. I'm starting to shut down. Now what do I do? So I'm able to
yeah.
put together a plan to avoid it. Okay, I do need a break right now. Mind you, I'm just one person. I have
Mm,
four people that I am responsible for outside of myself. So I need to do what works for me in my household to make sure that I can still function and provide for them and be there, in the best way that I can for them. So
yeah.
that was
Yeah.
huge.
And
Yeah.
that's key. Implementing the replacements,
Hmm.
the recovery plan,
Yeah.
so that the to keep the cycle broken. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I knew what I was doing before that went in that direction, but now I have a whole new game plan. I have a whole new strategy. I have these replacements to implement to keep myself from going back to that place. And that's
Yeah.
excellent. That is awesome. And,
And it takes time. It
right.
takes time to really hone. There's trial and error, and it's figuring out. And it's still, even though that process was started back then, just within the past year, I'm able to fully and completely say, no, take this off my plate. I'm not doing that. I'm taking time for myself. Like it took time for me to get all the way there, but I
Mm,
had to start somewhere. And
right,
I
right.
had to push through all of the chaos and all of it was just so unclear, but I just knew I had to keep going forward. I knew it was something on the other side. Like there's more to life than this. Like I'm not called to be here and to be in all this pain and anguish and just like not doing anything with my life. Like, yeah, I just have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
keep pressing. Yeah.
Unleashing that purpose.
Yeah.
Yes. And then
Yeah.
another thing that you said that really stood out is that so as you was going through the journey of healing,
Mm-hmm.
and even after recover it all, when we would revisit all the stages of development, then you started to notice the significance, the necessity for walking your children through the same process so
Mm-hmm.
that they will not continue to exercise coping mechanisms, that they'll
Mm-hmm.
learn healing ways, implementations, and stuff of that nature. So, what
Mm-hmm.
really stood out to me when you were saying that is because you said they experienced a lot of trauma at
Mm-hmm.
the hands of you. And I thought that was a very key statement because as parents, we just have to be real.
It's
Can we be
painful.
real that we just didn't
Who
have it
wants
all?
to?
And
Who
there's
wants
no
to?
book.
It's my fault. Like,
Right.
who wants to have that? The person that's supposed to be, hope, their
Right.
protector, their nurturer, the one, the backbone. You've always been there, and it's that vulnerability, and it's that humility, and that brokenness that will get you the breakthrough that you need. Because I have
Yeah.
to be honest with myself first before I can go back to them and apologize, before I can go back to the Lord and repent and come out of
Yeah.
agreement with those behaviors and start breaking those things off. It's a process, and that hurt. It's still
Right.
like
Right.
I can still, just because I know, and it's just like then you go through that. You didn't know better. I didn't, but still, it like
Right.
my mom and my dad didn't know better. Like, it's not an excuse. I understand what it was. Had I known better, I would have done better. But the fact of
Right.
the matter is, this stuff happened. So the really key thing in that process is having and establishing that open communication with your kids. They not gonna tell you everything. They not gonna come to you and tell you and tell you all the details. But what I
Mhm.
did want and need for them is to be able to have a conversation about how I hurt them, about
Right.
how they experienced me,
Right.
because
Right.
then that tells me what I need to do going forward. Then I'm aware of how I respond and react and what triggers them, and vice versa.
Yeah.
How can we have this conversation with it without it being a whole blow up, or a shut down, and now we're angry at each, and nothing's solved. It's worse than when it was before, type
Yeah.
thing. And that
Yeah.
is so freeing. And I didn't, that happened with my eldest son, and he had bought back. We were just like bumping heads. And for me, when I get fearful for his life because of the decisions that he was making, I would get angry. But I
Mhm.
recognized, like, it was me. I was scared. I was scared that he would lose his life. And we would get into it like face to face. And at one time we got into it, and he was in my face, and he was just, I didn't hear anything he was saying. I just seen the pain. And I
Mm.
stopped. I was like, don't say nothing else. And so I went and prayed, and we talked about it later. And I was like, it's something else going on. Like, you're upset with me about something. And it was days and days. And then one, because he don't like to talk, he always say I talk too much. We don't need to talk, da, 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 da. But so we were in my kitchen, and he told me, he was like, Mom, he was like, I gotta tell you. And he just brought up an incident when we were little, and it was me and his father had gotten into it, and I had said that I would not go back. Like, that was it was done. And he remembers that, and then but he remembers me going back, and
Mm.
he said, I feel like you abandoned me.
Mhm.
That hurt. But I would never have been able to even hear or say, first of all, I didn't even remember the situation, trauma. It was
Mhm.
suppressed memory. I didn't even remember the situation until, like, he was talking, and I was starting to think about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen. But it's stuff like that. And that, that just made me know that I'm in the right vein. But I would never have been able to even address or even hear that without, but it wasn't like that. Like, you don't
Right.
understand, it. He didn't need to hear that. He just needed me to hear what he was saying. And then I
Yeah.
was able to apologize, and we were able to have a conversation. And then he was like, I'm good. I'm like,
Right, 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 right,
yeah,
right.
but he was like, I'm good. But just to start those conversations, and that to me, that was showing him how to talk through a difficult situation, how to
Mhm.
address something without anger, without yelling, without storming off, all of those toxic things we doing, whatever it
Yeah.
is that you do to cope or to deal with that anger and that pain. So that was
Yeah.
a huge.
Yeah. So to really talk through those deep rooted
Mhm.
emotions, because
Yeah,
it's easy for us to act out in anger
yeah,
because it gives us a sense of control and protection.
absolutely.
And so it is challenging to engage that level of vulnerability and really communicate what's underneath the anger.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. I'm
yeah,
over here just so stirred in my spirit because I'm like, oh, I just see y'all doing workshops and different things like that and just really helping parents have these type of communications with
yeah,
their children and this and really being like how you say it takes vulnerability and humility to really listen to them and not have to feel like we have to give a response,
right,
in our ego, and just to really just take the hit,
right.
take
Because
the
it
hit of the
happened.
truth,
It happened.
and take the hit of how your emotional response is to that,
Exactly.
and just,
Because
yeah,
that's deep, because if that they're looking at that. He was
right,
watching me very closely to see how I responded, how I reacted. The slightest
right,
hint that you are defending your actions when they feel they was
right,
wrong, shut down. You're
right,
gonna
right,
lose them. You're gonna
right,
lose them, and then you have to start all over, building that trust and building that rapport again. That
right,
is
right,
is so big. And the other thing is, like, I can't tell you how you experienced me. I
right,
can't tell you. I experienced something totally different.
right, right,
Totally different, because in back then, I didn't even see my kids. I didn't see. I only seen what was going on between me and their dad.
right,
I
right,
knew they
right,
was there. I was
right,
holding his hand. I was right next to him, but it didn't register the effect, what was going on for him. It did not
yeah,
register for me. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. Oh my goodness. That is wonderful. That's a great testimony. Thank you for sharing. Um my gosh, so the establishing the open communication is really key to what it was that you shared with us before because as you're healing, now you have a new perspective, you have new strategies, new approaches, and so now you're
Mhm.
implementing different things, implementing change, and then there of course is a form of resistance because it's like, well, wait a minute, we wasn't doing that before. Where is
Mhm.
this change coming from? And so, how to connect the two and really work out the kinks with the change is by establishing that open communication where everyone feels safe to have those
Mhm.
tough conversations about what's the real deal
Right.
behind the resistance and really
Right.
get to the root and the heart of the matter to
Right.
form healing for everyone as a whole. So,
Right.
yeah,
That
excellent.
that is important. And the other thing about that is being consistent. That we can be consistent. We're consistent with our trauma. We experience that. We know we keep going in the same cycle and things of that nature. But once we start healing, everybody, even for yourself, you have to have a form of consistency about that process, about, I'm going to see this thing through. This is what it is now. And it gets tricky there, especially for single parents, because you're working, you're doing all these other things, and the kids take advantage of that.
Oh
They
yeah.
take full advantage of, oh,
Mhm.
okay, well, we not gonna have devotional tonight. She tired,
Right,
those
right,
type of
right.
things. So you really, you
Okay.
really, you really gotta figure out a routine that's gonna work and give everybody a responsibility. Like, okay, if you see this happening, this is what we're doing here to reel it in, to readjust, to get us back on track, to stay on track. So I think that
Mhm.
that consistency, you got to have it, else it's just, there's no way you can endure without it. Yeah.
Yes, indeed, because they will take advantage.
They full
Okay,
advantage and
and
won't
that's
think
just
nothing about
period.
it. Yeah. Won't
Single
think
parent,
nothing.
both parents, whatever the case
Whoever
with
they can,
parents.
whoever they can do it
Okay.
with.
My
Whoever.
goodness.
Yeah.
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 Yes, indeed. So, since our theme this year is best life after trauma, just share with us some insight on the other side of this
Hmm.
process and how you really just been enjoying your best life as a parent of four young men after trauma, after the healing process. And even I know inner healing and deliverance from trauma is lifelong process,
Right.
but there is a level of best
Yeah.
flourishing right now. And so
Yeah.
share with us about that.
I can definitely say that it's just a like a peaceful joy. And I always say like the more you heal, the clearer you can see and the clearer you can hear. I look at life through a different lens. And I'm more open and receptive, and just even of myself. Because when we go through the healing process, it's twofold. The trauma came, we pulling back the trauma to get to the core. The core that God is who God created us to be, our soul, that person on the inside. And then the healing is just going back over and just restoring and
Mm-hmm.
rebuilding back, getting to know, renewing my mindset, new behaviors, just learning to love and accept myself, getting to know Shavia outside of being a mom. I've been a mom my entire adult life. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm still getting to know me as God sees me. And that's really important. And that's really the difference. And it's a piece. I'm just the confidence and the authority and just me even being able to speak, have this conversation. Like, I don't want to talk about this stuff, I don't want to share those type of things like that. That's not the norm for me before the
Mm-hmm.
trauma. And so just getting, I just want to just rebuild myself, and see myself as God does. And so, with the healing comes the restoration of relationships, the restoration
Yes.
of myself, how I was before I was even born,
Yes.
before I even came here to earth. And so I think that is really just important
Yes.
to keep in mind. The other thing about it is, the more you heal, you begin to pick up and recognize where other people need support and need help, that have went through the same things or going through the same things that you are going through. Because when we are healing, it's really important that we connect with people that are on the other side, that
Yes.
know what it's like, that we can go and we can get wise counsel, we can go and we can get covered in prayer and things of those things. And so it's a point of intercession.
Mm.
It's a
Mm.
point of walking out my purpose on earth. So not only am I healing, I'm also being prepared. I'm also growing and cultivating everything that God has placed inside me. So that's
Mhm.
what healing
Mhm.
looks like on the other side.
Yeah, that's good. So, living your best life, being your best self, and living your best life after trauma, as healing a parent that's healing while parenting. And what stood out to me the most is how you said that you're getting to know Shavia, and you're coming into the fullness of your identity
Hmm.
as a woman
Right,
outside of just being a mother. And
right.
I think that's very, very key. I think that's like the biggest component
Hmm.
of our best life after trauma as parents with doing this process of healing while parenting, is because that demonstrates. Now we're just not teaching our children, we're demonstrating the
Hmm.
process of transformation to them. We're demonstrating authenticity to them.
Yes.
We're demonstrating purpose, identity rooted in Father God to them is now a demonstration, and it also relieves them
Mm.
of the pressure to feel like in some ways they're parenting us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if when we don't know ourselves as parents and we are still carrying these emotional wounds,
Mm.
psychological wounds, the residues of our trauma, in some ways that puts our children in positions where, depending on how God has created them, now they're parenting us.
Yep.
If they have a higher level of emotional intelligence because God wired them that way, now
Mm-hmm.
they're our emotional caretakers
Yep.
rather than us taking care of
Taking
them
care of them.
emotionally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that is big,
Yeah.
big, big. I'm like, woo, running in my spirit.
Yes. Yes. That.
Because at the end of the day, it's what we do that speaks most to them
Yes, it
than what it
is.
is that we say. And for them to see the transformation right before their eyes of us as we're healing while parenting is
Mm-hmm.
volumes.
Yeah.
Values. What better way to guide them in the right way than to go through
Exactly.
in the right way ourselves? Come on now,
Exactly.
somebody, and
Exactly.
demonstrate, embody the right way, the ways of the
Yeah.
Lord.
Yep.
Woo!
And
Come
it's just,
on
it's
now.
not too late.
Oh
A
my
lot of
goodness.
people think it's too, I'm already a parent. It's hard. They this age and that. Start where you are. You have to start where you are, assess where you are, what you're dealing with, your triggers, how you responding to those triggers, all of it, and just go from there. You have to start. You have to start and understand what healing is. It's work. It's a
Mm-hmm.
restoration process, and it's just not gonna fall on you. You got to put
Right.
in and
Right.
work,
Right.
just like when it's the same process as when we heal physically from a wound. It happens internally the same way. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to put in that work. We have to make sure we're not doing stuff to cause an infection. We're not doing things to set back the process, and all of those things. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. All right now. Now it's time for me to pull on you, Miss Restoration Coach. Okay. What I got? I got a 6, a 9, and a 12.
Oh
So
Lordy.
give me some pointers on this
um,
open communication establishment.
what I do with mines is one-to-one time. And I've always done that since they were little, because it's so many of them, and they really cherish that one-to-one time, and that's establishing and building that rapport. And at the age level, even with the 6-year old, like those have been the most insightful conversations that I've had with the youngest one.
I
This dude
bet.
here is, so it's just, but in each one, and it gives you, like, while you're talking to them, you assessing them. What are
Right,
they
right,
saying? What are their behaviors? What's coming out? My 14-year-old calls me his counselor, his therapist, because
right.
those are the conversations that we have. He has that level of safety with me. They're
Mhm,
prayer points. Okay, now I see what I'm dealing with. What am I praying for? You're teaching them how to
mm,
communicate, how to have a healthy relationship, though all those things. Like, there's so many things to be learned on both ends, and just
mhm.
establishing that one-to-one time is really
Okay.
key. Hmm.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, I'm gonna get started. That's my homework assignment
Yes.
to orchestrate my weekly one-to-one time with
Yep.
each of my 3 live crew.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So
Do it.
I will keep you posted,
Yeah, and
and
that
to all of you out
also,
there too.
that keeps them feeling that level of, like, as a single parent, with that one parent missing, the kids always feel like they're missing something, and you can never
Right.
replace what the other parent is that the other parent is missing, what they're not bringing. You could never do that. I could never be their father ever.
Right, right,
There's no
right,
way. I can only be their mother. But what I can establish is some sense of security and validity, and just that comfort of knowing I am loved, I'm accepted, I'm one. Like, this person really sits here and takes the time to listen and hear me, and
right.
and it's consistent and that type of thing. So
Yeah.
that's really key.
All right. Well, I'm excited about my new assignment. Yes,
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 yes.
indeed. My wheels are already turning on that.
Mhm.
Um, I love it. I love it. I love it. And then another thing that was coming to me why it's so important because each of them are different. My
Exactly.
goodness, each
Yeah.
of them are just totally different.
They, and
There's
and
no
and
duplicates.
and
There,
this is
yeah,
why people are to pray over our teachers because, and I always could like sympathize a little bit and kind of understand because they got all them kids and all them personalities, and I
right, right.
always be like, I only have four, and that is a lot. Like,
And they
oh my
have even
god,
more than that
yeah,
because you got not only do you have all these kids, all these personalities, you have all these different backgrounds. They coming
yes,
from different family
yeah,
structures. They coming from different,
exactly, exactly,
everything. So it's
yeah.
like, what in the
That's
world?
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gumbo experience.
I'm
You
just like,
trying to
yeah, I don't know
identify
how
the
you,
shrimp from the
yeah.
okra, like
And so that's
from
why
the
I always
sausage,
pray
like
with, pray for and work with the teachers, because I get it, especially dealing with my kid. Like, I know what I'm dealing with, so I can only imagine what you're getting at school. I'm not naive to that, but
yes,
that
indeed.
is, and I always tell them, like, by call them by each of their names, like Josiah. I'll be like, oh, you're my favorite Josiah. I do stuff like that so that they don't
Yeah.
feel like, oh, it's favoritism, even though they say the baby is the favorite, but he's just the baby. So, but yeah.
Well, I
So,
only have one son, so and two girls.
my
So
favorite
you
son.
know how that goes. Oh,
My
forgive me, Lord, but I
goodness.
love them all the same.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
yes.
mean, it's just different with the son. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, my little snuggle buddy.
That they are. And he's the youngest too, so yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, all right. Well, so we're going to get ready to close on out this conversation. If you are here with us in a live broadcast, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. If you are catching the replay, drop them in the chat because we'll still get the notifications and everything to engage any of your commentary in the chat for this broadcast. So, as we close on out, how can everyone connect with you, stay connected, moving forward? Restoration Coach Shavia Johnson.
Yes, I'm on Facebook as Shavia Johnson. I'm also on Instagram as Shavia Nayon, Nayon. So feel free to follow, send me a message if you have any questions, or anything else like that, or drop it in the chat, and I'll be sure to get back to you.
Yes, yes. So be on the lookout because when her season come, her time come, her appointed time,
Yes, Lord,
there will be curriculums, books, and this, that, and the other
in the
to
works. Yes,
provide for parents to really cultivate a healing and safe environment, freedom from
yeah,
trauma lifestyle for their households, and really engage
yes,
in the process of healing while parenting and how to navigate that and steward that process well. So be on the
yes.
lookout. All right. Hey, hey,
Hey,
hey.
hey, hey.
Yes. All right now.
Yes,
Okay.
Lord.
So that is all for this broadcast. Feel free to join us on Clubhouse in about 15 minutes where you can engage with us in this conversation. If you catch, and you also can catch the replay for that if you're unable to engage in that. The replay will be available on our Clubhouse Club Prophetic Trauma Ed, and you can follow me at Freedom Coach NM. And then you're on there also. Are you just on there as Shavia
Yeah,
Johnson?
just Shavia Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, Shavia Johnson is on Clubhouse also. All righty. So this is your Freedom Coach, Natasha Miller, and Restoration Coach, Shavia Johnson, Signing off until next time. Peace and freedom to you all.
Bye.